Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Good to have you back. I have something of a confession to make. They say the first step is admitting it, and I'm admitting it. I am addicted to alcohol markers. I keep finding brands that I've not heard of before, and I could probably not buy them, but where's the fun in that? I buy them, so you guys know whether it's worth it or not. I've got two brands of markers, both fairly cheap. Again, both of them on the kind of budget side. One of them a little less budget than the other, but still fairly cheap. The ones we're going to go over first of all are the cheaper of the two. Excuse me. These are technically the cheaper of the two, but I don't know whether that's just because there's less of them. These are called #colouring. #colouring, yeah. I would love to have been in the meeting where the marketing execs were coming up with that, and it's just like, hey guys, you know what the kids like? They like to hashtag things, yeah. So if we make these #colouring pens, they're gonna love that, right? I bought these from. I sound like a dick then. I bought these from Cass. It's an art shop chain, and they cost £4.95 for 5 colouring pens. A little bit surprised to see them in there actually, because they usually only stock the Winsor & Newton Pro markers, brush markers, and the pigment markers, which I still have to try actually. Yeah, these looked kind of cool. In terms of, let me see if I can get one out. So in terms of body shape, barrel shape, you're looking at not far off what a Copic Chow would look like. So same length roughly, lid shape, same shape, but they do have the colours and the codes on the cap actually, and I like that. That'll make it a lot easier for me. These are a little bit weird insofar as you could probably spot it already. These have got a brush tip and a bullet instead of the normal brush and chisel that we would expect on one of these things. We've got the brush tip on one end and the finer bullet tip on the other. Now, not necessarily the best combo depending on what it is that you're up to. I think these are mainly marketed at people who use those adult colouring books, so I'm not going to be super harsh on these, but still, we'll see how they perform. In the base pack that I've got there, you get a basic red, orange, yellow, green, and blue. £4.95 for those. I think it was down from £9, so technically not super cheap for 5 of them, but still relatively good. What I like about these as well, same thing as one of my favourite things about the Copics is this little grey band that tells you which end your brush is. This is actually the opposite. I think they've done that to avoid copyright. But this one's got a grey band to tell you which side your bullet nib is. So that's quite nice. So these markers are the Spectra Ad markers. They were from Hobbycraft. It's a fairly large craft chain in the UK. They sell everything to do with crafts and hobbies, bizarrely. This pack is the portrait pack. It is all skin tones and earth tones. You've got a colourless blender there, which I thought was quite surprising, and a black. So technically, if you're just doing portraits, if you're just doing faces or whatever, this is kind of you could just have this as a standalone pack. I don't remember exactly how much this is, and there's no price on it, unfortunately. I think it was in the region of £19 for 12 markers. I'll look that up and I'll put it up on the right there, and I will again. I think it was £19. I'm pretty sure it was £19. These are, if I open it up, far more standard loadout. You got your brush nib on one end and your standard chisel on the other. So it's quite a narrow chisel, this one actually. It kind of tapers in towards the end of it. You can't really see it on there, but it does. Again, like I say, these are I've never heard of Spectra AD. I've heard of Spectrum Noir, and I wonder if these might be a spin-off of those, but these are made in China, it proudly states on the back, so I think that's probably explains why we've not heard of them. So what I'm going to do with these, with the two brands of markers that we've got, the hashtags and the Spectras, I'm going to just do a quick colour swatch with all 5 of the hashtag markers, and I'll pick 5 of these ones at random. I won't do all of them because that'd be ridiculous. And we'll see how they look on the page and how they feel to colour with. So be right back. Okay, so those are the 5 of the Spectras and all 5 of the hashtag colouring markers swatched out. If I just zoom in a little there. So the first thing that really struck me about these hashtag colouring markers, and I will admit that I've actually used them before. I say used them before. I used them when I bought them, just to see what they were like. This brush tip is insanely firm. It doesn't feel like a brush at all. It feels a lot more like just a large felt nib. It doesn't feel like a brush at all. Like if I go for this one, actually no, let's grab a red. So I've got this brush marker, this Winsor & Newton brush marker, and these have got really nice flexible brushes. So you can see on this, I don't know how obvious this is going to be, but you see I can roll it. It kind of curls with me. The nib is actually bending with the pressure that I'm putting down there. If I try and do the same thing with this, I'm putting a lot more pressure on that than I did on that Winsor & Newton one, and literally only the tip is bending, and even then not even in the right way. So that brush, if you're used to the nice kind of soft Copic brushes where they, see that one bends and it's really nice and flexible, this is a massive departure from that. So for as I said before, for what these are aimed at, this is probably better because you're going to get a lot more accuracy. But then why have we got that? If you've already got the accuracy from this, why have we got the brush tip? Unless they want us to do that to colour in large spaces, I don't know. But yeah, that not necessarily a bad thing depending on what you're using these for, but it is a bit of a jarring sensation. The thing that struck me about the Spectra AD, is the smell. That's not something I'm going to be able to get across on camera, unfortunately, but these things stink. All alcohol markers have their own kind of odour, but these just don't smell right. They smell a little bit off. I don't know if that's... Oh god, that's dreadful. I don't know if it's something to do with the batch or how old they are, or I don't know, but it's just not a nice sensation. When I was colouring with these, and it's just coming up from the odours coming up from the paper, and yeah, it wasn't nice. Excuse me. The surprising thing is how nice the colour lays down on those hashtag colouring pens. Even though that brush is a bit of a stiff brush, the colours, I've talked about in previous videos where you get the mottling effect when you go over, you probably get it quite badly with this one actually, but if you go, if you layer and you layer and you layer with an alcohol marker, eventually the grain of the paper will start to show through, and these, hardly any of that. Green is normally, I find, one of the worst culprits for that, and not a hint of it on this, and I was quite vigorous with it. So nice bright colours, no mottling. They'd be really good for a colouring book. I think they do this pack of 5, but they also do colour themed packs. So there was a purples in the store that I was in anyway. They had purples and they had reds and they had blues. All of them were $4.95 for 5 markers, so fairly inexpensive way to build up a big bunch if you wanted to. The Spectra, I do remember seeing more than this set. They had some sets of greys and some sets of blues, which were kind of blues and purples. They were all the same price. I remember that much. I don't remember how much that price was. I remember it's going to appear here. They were all the same price, so you know, how's that? 12 markers for £19. That's not bad. That's, you know, fairly reasonable for how many markers you get. It's almost the same as the hashtag colouring ones. Yeah, so those are two more brands of cheap Copic alternatives. If I was going to pick either of those two, which I would be in a really bad situation if I had to, but if I was going to pick either of those two, I would probably go for the hashtag colouring, only because I'm not sure how available these are, the Spectra. They smell really bad, and even though they've got this kind of, they've got a much softer brush tip there, it's still, you know, for what I would be using these for, I'm not sure that would be a massive deal breaker. Let's see how they blend actually. That's one thing I've not done with these ones yet. Right, so those probably would blend. I don't know how well they would blend. I gave that quite a go then. I'm not sure those colours are the best ones to blend. I've also just realised that I don't have any paper protecting my desk, so I've actually just got ink on my desk for the first time. No big deal. I do know that the Spectra markers, that whole set will blend together. So that's a, you know, a nice thing to know going into it, just buying a set of markers knowing that they're going to blend. Oh, there you go. So these two blend alright actually. So yeah, that's not the worst blend I've ever had. Certainly better than the Boldmere's did. Yeah, so that's not bad actually. So advice on buying these cheap markers is probably don't actually. Again, as I said in the last video on markers, just go for some of these. If you're struggling to stretch to the Copic markers, which head and shoulders above everything else, these things are just a joy to colour with. If you're struggling, these are a more than decent alternative. They're massively available in the UK. I'm not so sure about abroad, but yeah, these ones are absolutely fantastic markers. The brush markers, I would say, don't, like I said before, don't go for the pro markers. They're pointless. When you've got the option of the brush markers, which have almost as large a colour range, go for these. But of these two, if you want to try some out, these are your, you know, cheap and cheerful, and you know, when you're finished with them, give them to the kids, give them to your, you know, your kids of people you don't like, so that they can colour the walls. Yeah, so hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you've got any suggestions for any other brands that you'd like to see me look into, I am trying to get hold of some of the cheap Chinese markers that somebody commented about in the first one. If you've got any comments on anything you want to see on this channel, let me know. I will try and I do read the comments. I try and reply to all the comments. There's not many comments at the moment, so it's pretty easy, but I will try and do as much as I can to kind of, you know, retain your interest, because I understand that you guys have got a lot of videos out there you got to watch. You're very busy people. If you enjoyed the video, please stick a like on it, subscribe to the channel, because I'm always making videos. I am trying to get one out every Friday at the moment, and so far, fingers crossed, I've managed to stick to that. I am going to be doing a few speed colours and speed draws in the near future, so if you want to see some of the work that I've actually done with the Copics and the Pro markers, I tend to mix the two, then, you know, make sure you subscribe so you get notified when those go up. In the meantime, have fun colouring, doodling, drawing, whatever, and see you soon.